Good day. These are the properties notes. They are fill in the blank. And so you can identify them. They have the rectangle that show it's from PowerPoint. So first thing is you have to copy out any blanks that need filling in. And so you start off by knowing the definition of property. Any observable fact which can be used to identify or describe a substance. So we're going to use our senses. We may look at something. We may touch it, we may smell it, we may taste it. We've got to be careful of those two. And perhaps even hear it. Obvious properties require no equipment. We can observe directly. Other properties, we need to use equipment. And often that involves measurement. And so we're going to give you examples of both obvious properties and other properties. So one of the most obvious properties is typically state. Is it a solid, liquid, or gas? That's what the S, L, and G represent. The color. Those are very easy to identify with no equipment. Texture, you might slide your finger along it and see if it's smooth or rough. Next one says luster. Is it shiny or dull? Malleability. Well, technically it means can it be beaten into sheets, but often we think of it as something being bendable like a wire. Taste. That is not allowed in class unless directed. Smell, we have to be very careful using that property. And we'd have to use the wafting technique if we're allowed to use it. On the right side, we have mass. We're going to have volume. By themselves, mass and volume are not that useful when we're trying to identify material. But if we combine them, we can get something called density. Now, we're going to spend a fair amount of time learning about density. We'll also do a lab where we look at melting point, freezing point, boiling point. These are all useful properties for identifying materials, checking the purity of a material. So those are all the points. Of course, the reverse of boiling point would be condensation point. Something we worry about more in grade 11 and 12 chemistry would be solubility. Conductivity. Now, conductivity has a couple of meanings. It can mean how well heat passes through a material, and it can mean how well electricity passes through a material. We're going to do a lab that involves a microscope, looking at crystal shape. Oh, and over on the left, we've got to add in ductility, and that means can we take the material and stretch it out into wires. So once you have that copied, let's go to the next page. Here's our definition of malleability and ductility. And conductivity. So I mentioned those, but now you can copy that out and have it all written up nicely. You could tell me the properties of this husky. Now I have this crazy tape dispenser in front of my room. Should include a picture here. And we'll put down some of its obvious properties. Green, it's solid, has a smooth texture. Shape, malleability, luster, The shape, if you have a line flat, it looks a bit like a whale. Malleability, it's not bendable. And the luster, well, parts of it are shiny and other parts are dull. So that's what you're going to be expected when you do chemical reactions. You're going to be expected to give properties. So this is good training for getting ready to do that stuff. So these are the properties we're going to look at this year in a lot of detail and do some labs. The melting point and freezing point lab, you will have to do a graph, and we'll be showing you how to do that. Crystal shape lab, you use a microscope. And density lab, you're going to have to measure mass and volume of different samples. And that's it.